What would you say is the all-time best scene in Avatar The Last Airbender? You probably think of the heart-wrenching Tale of Iroh in the Tales of Ba Sing Se. Or what about the extremely emotional moment where Zuko begs Iroh for forgiveness? Maybe you remember the campfire confessions of our villains in the beach episode. Or perhaps you think of Katara confronting the man who took her mother from her. While all these scenes are easily top-tier Avatar moments, to me, the best scene in Avatar is hands down Zuko's confrontation of Ozai at the end of the Day of Black Sun.
Why are you here?
I'm here to tell the truth.
Telling the truth during the middle of an eclipse. This should be interesting.
In all my rewatches of Avatar, which, trust me, are a lot, this scene has never failed to send chills down my spine every time I watch it. But just that recurring experience doesn't really explain why this scene is so incredibly effective, does it? Therefore, in this video, I will pick apart why Zuko confronting Ozai works so remarkably well. Before we do that, I want to welcome you back to All About Avatar. Your support has meant so much to me, and we've already grown so much. Please support the channel by giving this video a like and subscribing. You're awesome. Thank you so much. With that out of the way, where do we start? Well, where else than to start with our main man, Zuko. Now this video will not examine the entirety of Zuko's character arc, as many other creators have already made numerous amazing videos explaining that. We will talk about it in relation to this scene only.
I'm angry at myself!
So firstly, this scene provides incredible catharsis by conveying the depth of Zuko's conviction and the strength of his resolved character arc. Throughout the series, Zuko struggles with his identity and his relationship with his father and the Fire Nation. We find him seeking his honor by hunting the Avatar in Season 1 and struggling with his identity as the banished prince. In Season 2, he becomes a refugee and he finds himself in the Earth Kingdom territory, where he's forcefully exposed to the horrible consequences of the War of the Fire Nation. We see his bubble beginning to break, so too his identity. This newfound perspective nearly sealed Zuko's turn to good. Then, in the Season 2 finale, Zuko falls back and chooses the Fire Nation, betraying his loving uncle and choosing Azula. Subsequently, we spent the entirety of Season 3 with Zuko having everything he wanted. His throne, his father's respect, his so-called honor, and the perfect prince's life. But as he said,
But I wasn't me.
all these character beats lead to this scene. So what is left unresolved? First, we have Zuko questioning Ozai's abuse and whether it is right for his father to decide his destiny and self-respect. Secondly, we got Zuko questioning the superiority of the Fire Nation and the righteousness of the war they unleashed. Then thirdly, we got Zuko's guilt about betraying his uncle. And then lastly, of course, we got Zuko seeking his actual destiny, after realizing that everything he wanted was not who he was. In this incredible scene, all these character struggles are cathartically resolved by Zuko. First, he rejects the abusive gaslighting narrative of Ozai that his honor was disgraced by speaking his mind about Ozai's evil plans.
To accept me. I thought it was my honor that I wanted, but really, I was just trying to please you. You, my father, who banished me just for talking out of turn.
Secondly, he rejects the supposed superiority of the Fire Nation and the war propaganda fed to him his entire life.
Growing up, we were taught that the Fire Nation was the greatest civilization in history. What an amazing lie that was. They don't see our greatness. They hate us.
Thirdly, he devotes his loyalty and appreciation to his uncle, and declares that he has always been his actual father figure.
I'm gonna free Uncle Iroh from his prison, and I'm gonna beg for his forgiveness.
And lastly, he declares to understand that his true destiny is joining Team Avatar to help them defeat the Fire Nation and Ozai.
I'm going to join the Avatar, and I'm going to help him defeat you.
In most TV shows, all these turnarounds could feel cheap. However, we have spent so much time with Zuko lost in self-doubt about right and wrong. Let's take Zuko's rejection of the Fire Nation's superiority as an example. This moment hits so hard because it is thoroughly earned throughout the series. We have followed Zuko as he came to understand the consequences of the Fire Nation's war. First, when he met Song, and she showed Zuko her scar inflicted by the Fire Nation. Then, when he met Lee, and saw firsthand how the death of Lee's brother in the war affected that family. Hell, he even went on a date with Jin, an Earth Kingdom girl, someone who, according to Fire Nation propaganda, would be deemed inferior. All these moments broke Zuko's bubble, and it contributes to why this scene provides such profound catharsis. In this moment of royal catharsis, Zuko is resolute and unwavering in his beliefs. The scene shows us a Zuko who is no longer a conflicted character, but rather someone who has fully embraced his new values and is committed to standing up against his former way of life. Zuko sees the truth, and his entire arc is completed in this whole scene.
I only had the Fire Nation's best interest at heart. I'm sorry I spoke out of turn.
The dialogue of the confrontation itself is emotionally charged and very well executed. Zuko's dialogue is powerful and moving, yet incredibly clear. Remember the chills I talked about in the introduction? Yeah, this is it. Every word Zuko utters is spoken with such determination, and every word cuts right into your soul. You can feel his years of struggle, pain, and self-doubt in each phrase that he utters.
Think again. I am going to speak my mind, and you are going to listen.
Props to Dante Basco. I mean, he nails every line of Zuko really, but here we can see just how amazing his voice acting is and how it contributes to Zuko's character and the series overall. The clarity of the dialogue and the decisive tone with which Zuko speaks in the scene perfectly reflects his arc. We have seen him doubting right and wrong for nearly 2 seasons. It took his experience as an Earth Kingdom refugee and getting everything that he wanted for him to speak with such determination. Compare this to when he decided to betray his uncle at the crossroads of destiny. Zuko looks unhinged, and after making his decision there, we find him staring at his uncle and the unfolded situation, undetermined whether his choice was right. But not here. There is no longer any doubt in Zuko's voice. He has seen it all.
My father, who challenged me, a 13-year-old boy, to an Agni Kai. How can you possibly justify a duel with a child?
However, Zuko's determination does not go unchallenged. Ozai contests Zuko's new sense of determination.
It was to teach you respect.
But Zuko's tone and perspective persevere without displaying any form of doubt.
It was cruel, and it was wrong.
Then you've learned nothing.
No, I've learned everything.
Zuko knows the truth. He knows right and wrong now. He knows the scar his father gave him was a horrific act that Ozai cannot justify in any way. The scene perfectly conveys Zuko's understanding of the truth through his determined dialogue and tone. After Zuko turns to his devotion to his uncle, his actual father figure, Ozai resorts to mock Zuko.
He's the one who's been a real father to me.
Oh, that's just beautiful. Maybe he can pass down to you the ways of tea and failure.
It is another form of abuse of the Fire Lord, of which we have heard stories throughout the series. An attempt to get Zuko to doubt himself, question his self-worth and honor again. But Zuko's tone does not change, nor does his contribution to the dialogue. Zuko's behavior is no longer chained to his father and the years of abuse and gaslighting. Zuko is free, and every word he speaks breathes this sentiment. And then, we actually find Ozai taken aback by Zuko's determination.
Yes, he has.
Emphasizing Zuko's escape from his struggle between right and wrong. Ozai is a really potent antagonist presented as a force to be reckoned with throughout the series, not only in his battle prowess, but also in his willingness to abuse and manipulate others around him, especially his children. But in this scene, Ozai is taken aback by Zuko's resolve and determination. It shows that Zuko has become a formidable opponent, capable of standing up to his father and challenging his authority. Zuko and Ozai are on equal grounds now.
Your penalty will be far steeper.
After Zuko's newfound determination leads him to persevere and fend off Ozai's verbal abuse and mockery, Ozai's last chance is to keep Zuko by baiting him with information about his mother.
Don't you want to know what happened to your mother?
Which Zuko of course cannot refuse. It really reveals the depth and evilness to which Ozai is prepared to go. His bait works as Zuko stays around. After having baited Zuko to wait until the sun comes out, ending the eclipse, and having realized that his typical abuse tactics of Zuko no longer work, Ozai uses a last resort: lightning. However, Zuko perseveres through Ozai's lightning, just as he did through his verbal abuse. And how did he do this? Through a technique taught to him by his uncle, the actual father figure Zuko could always rely on. Iroh has always been a safe haven for Zuko, and now his advice and training save his life against his abuser. It further emphasizes his guilt about Iroh, and it ties into his appreciation of his uncle that we talked about earlier. Not only that, but Iroh's teachings of lightning generation and redirection all heavily emphasize that to be able to be a guide to lightning, your own mind must be still and calm, reflecting Zuko's newfound sense of self and destiny. It is a perfect symbolic climax to this scene. Additionally, Iroh invented the technique of lightning redirection by studying waterbenders. Zuko defends himself from his ruthless, imperialist Fire Lord father using a technique inspired by the waterbenders. Subtle but incredibly effective symbolism that ties into Zuko's rejection of the Fire Nation's superiority we talked about previously. And then, Zuko runs off, to free Uncle Iroh and to join Team Avatar. The scene ends. Overall, this scene, to me at least, is the best in Avatar The Last Airbender. It is reflective of the amazing character work, the great dialogue, the voice acting, the world building, and the incredible magic system that does it for me. What do you guys think? Do you also get chills like me every time you watch Zuko's confrontation? If not, what other scene would you say is the best in Avatar The Last Airbender? I'm eager to know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to subscribe, like, and have a good one. See ya.